Make that big boss less special. It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level. Second level.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to episode 34 of the official Level 2 podcast. My name's Keegan. I'm one half of Level 2 Gamers, hanging out with Tom, other half of Level 2 Gamers. How you doing today, Tom?
I'm doing grand.
I feel like that's just what I say now.
That's
it doesn't matter
fine.
what else. It's literally just my intro
I'm
at this
usually
point.
doing all right, so
I'm just all right.
it works
I'm all
out. Well, if it's ever different, I'll let you know.
I mean, you should.
I'm shit, Keegan.
shit.
Thanks for asking.
I have to say, so I'm going to get real before we jump into the podcast here. Because this is, I feel like, the place we can do this is this past weekend's been a bit rough on me. If I've been a little off during this session or during the videos this week, it's because Chester from Lincoln Park committed suicide. I had the opportunity of working with the dude back in the day and hit close to home. I'm now kind of coming out of it. The day we're recording this is the day his private funeral is happening. So I'm getting messages from people, pictures, all that kind of stuff. So it's been a rough couple days. I'm coming out of it now, like I said. And if you guys have any thoughts of suicide, any depression, reach out to somebody. Suicide Prevention Hotline. If you Google it, it'll show up. I think it's suicideprevention.com is the website. But just want to let you guys know, like I said, this is, I feel like, the one place we can be personal about it.
No,
so.
it was affecting you for a while because you knew him not like super well, but you knew him enough that you hung out with him for what, 3 months on tour,
yeah.
and you said he treated you like
family,
just like family.
The story I want to tell that I've been telling everybody, I remember hanging out with him. It was him and Brad, the guitar player, and we were on the bus playing Halo. Probably, I want to say it's Halo 3. I don't remember exactly because to me all the Halos felt similar at this point. And he was talking so much shit, and he was so bad at the game that I was just like, "You need to stop, man. You're like, you're digging yourself a hole here. It's not working." So, but yeah, if I see him off during the videos this week, it's because it's been on my mind. I had a moment on the way here where, again, just.
It happens.
It happens.
Yeah.
Life moves on. But again, if you guys need any help, suicide prevention hotlines out there. Talk to somebody. I know you hear that a lot, say that a lot, but it's true. It's amazing what talking to somebody can do. So with that, let's move into gaming stuff and happier stuff.
Sure.
We're going to hop in like we normally do. We're going to do Keegan's Corner.
What's your corner?
My corner this week is Overwatch. So you, a couple
More
weeks
specifically,
ago. Wait.
All right.
A couple weeks ago, you talked about esports, and you talked about CSGO.
FaZe Clan, phase up. There you go.
Are you a bandwagon fan? Is that what just happened there?
Yeah.
But you're talking about esports, and just for fun, I played Overwatch. I enjoy Overwatch, and I kind of was like, for the hell of it, kind of wanted to look into esports and Overwatch because I understand the game. Like CS:GO, I don't understand. League of Legends, I don't understand. Like it just looks like a bunch of things happening, kind of like probably when you watch Overwatch, it's like explosions everywhere.
Yeah.
So I've been watching Overwatch, and ironically, it's the qualifiers for the World Cup for Overwatch right now.
Timing.
So perfect timing. And I've been watching some of the qualifying matches, both live on Twitch and video on demand after the fact if I missed them. On YouTube, Overwatch Esports is the channel if you want to go check them out. But I've been digging into this hardcore, and it's kind of helped me through this weekend of just like getting out of the real world. And it actually made me get to the point where I played competitive for the first time in Overwatch.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that, Tom. Let's talk about me and Overwatch.
Let's do it.
So you've never played Overwatch outside the beta, correct?
Correct.
Do you ever think you'll pick it up?
No.
Why is that? What's steering you off from Overwatch?
I don't like MOBAs.
I don't like people.
Well, that too. But I don't like MOBA games. I don't like the battle arena games. I don't enjoy the idea of having like a tank and a healer and whatever outside of an RPG environment. If I'm playing an FPS game, I want to kill people, and I want to kill people in a gritty, semi-realistic way. It's too cartoony for me. I don't like the dynamic of having to have the team balanced and things like that. And
you're
I
a selfish person.
didn't really enjoy it, honestly. No, I want to see skill shots and things like that, and I feel like Overwatch is more like it's great to see when the teams work together, and I'm sure there's some good kills and stuff, but compared to the stuff that I watch as far as like Counter-Strike and that type of things, like you're never going to see someone like, you know, do a 1 versus 5 like no scope ending or whatever, or like just some of the amazing
you will see
twitches
a Lucio. I can't remember what the team was I was watching because I was binge watching, but there was a Lucio that had to hold the point for his team to get back, and he can rollerblade up the wall, and he was rollerblading on the top of this thing, just around in circles, and nobody could kill him. It was the greatest thing in the world, waiting for his team to get back.
That's good.
But no, Overwatch, like I said, I've been watching the esports World Cup. Go back, watch all the qualifying stuff. I started out with whatever was live at the time, found the Twitch channel, like I said, and then found out they had a YouTube channel for the on-demand stuff, so I could go back and watch what I missed. And fucking China's amazing. Doesn't surprise me, because China's probably good at esports.
We were saying that the Overwatch one is more like a World Cup of Overwatch, as
yes,
opposed
it's
to
international,
being like teams.
Yeah,
per se.
it is literally it is Overwatch World Cup, so it's international, so it's by country. So
do they take players from existing
Yes.
teams and just make like a best in
yes,
America?
it's literally like they do for the World Cup, where you could be Wayne Rooney on your club team, and you could be, I don't know, another English. Is Lampard? Is he English?
Yeah, sure.
Lampard, take him from another
Lampard,
team,
yeah.
put him on the team.
Yeah.
Or you could do Tim Howard, I know him, or Michael Bradley, I know him.
I
Or
don't know who those last two were, so
those Americans.
that's why I don't know.
Yeah. Or Clint Dempsey.
Yeah.
You should know Tim Howard. He's the goalie. He's the keeper.
That does ring a bell.
Yeah, you should know who that is.
Yeah, I think.
But no,
yeah.
but they grabbed from this pool of players. Obviously, some of the best, and like it's the best in the world that are playing to be for their team or for their country to get together. They're right now in the qualifiers, so they had qualifiers in Shanghai, and then they had qualifiers in Sydney, which are the ones that are happening, I believe, right now. I don't know if it's live or if it just ended. I'm trying to figure out the schedule, because it's all happening at BlizzCon is where the finals are going to be.
Gotcha.
I don't know when BlizzCon is, but that's when everything's going to come together.
Ahead.
There's 8 teams that are going to go to BlizzCon.
It's interesting because, I'm thinking about in terms of team dynamic and stuff. I mean, the Overwatch is a very team dynamic heavy game, and I wonder if it's similar in principle to something like a World Cup team, where you already have a chemistry with your club side, but then when you are matched up with people that you've never played, with on a team but only against, how hard is it for those teams to actually start practicing and forming a cohesive team together as a group of solitary players?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I've learned from watching them play is I main Lucio, who's a support healer or support player. He's a healer. Is I've learned kind of how to pull ultimates and to save ultimates when you want to stack certain ones on top of each other, and the little shit like that. I'm like, I didn't even think about this stuff in Overwatch before. Like, I have this, pull it, brrr, die.
So you feel like you've learned how to be a better player just from watching these guys?
Yes. I have, like I said, I hopped into competitive because I was like, you know what, because I'm a social gamer. I get competitive in gaming, but I don't get to the point where I care a lot about ranks. The last one I did was probably Halo, where I cared, where I think I was like, I remember when I got my stars, I got like general or something, 3 stars or whatever it was. I can't remember the name of it, what the rank actually was, but I remember hitting lieutenant because that was the first big one, or captain might have been the first big one. Then I think it was lieutenant, or other way around.
8th prestige in Modern Warfare 2 before someone hacked my account and stole everything.
I think he's lying to us.
I'm not. I promise you.
But no, one of the things I've learned from competitive, and the reason I want to go competitive, because to me, if you're playing competitive, you're taking the game seriously. So if I want to play the game in a serious fashion, that's where I'm going to go. Obviously, there's toxic environment with any competitive gaming. There was some dude the other day that was on a character, Hanzo, who could not play as that character. Like, the whole team was like, dude, get off Hanzo. There's somebody else we think could be better on it. Pick somebody else, please. Like, we're not calling him out. We're not like your shit. We're just like, for the betterment of the team right now, switch. And he didn't do it. And to me, that's a slap in the face. It's like, come on, bro. Like, if you really want to win. It's
going to feel bad for him as well, though. Like, all of his teammates going, you suck at this player. Please move on.
He didn't have a mic. That's the other thing too. If you're going to do competitive, be on mic. Like, defend yourself.
Wow.
Like, if you're playing competitive, in my opinion, you are putting yourself up to be criticized for your play. So, an example, when I played, I was playing as Lucio, and I wasn't doing very well. We need to switch him. Well, I mean, we're doing all right, but we need to switch some strategy, get a push. So I switched from Lucio to Mercy, who's more of a direct healer, and I was able to help then do that push in that we needed to get things done. And it was all because a couple of our teammates were like, hey, do you mind switching to Mercy? Because we're getting stalled out at this moment. It probably would be best for overall strategy if we did that. And I was like, yeah, let me hop over when I die next. And I switched because I didn't want to run back. So I died, I switched over, and we ended up winning the match because of that. So you've got to be able to be flexible with that. You know your role. The hardest part for me...
your role, jabroni.
Yeah. The hardest part for me is is when you are in a competitive match and don't know anybody. And that's the way Overwatch competitive works 90% of the time. James, Cole, they play competitive. David has the game. He's not done competitive yet.
Is it that much more difficult in the competitive
Yes.
mode?
It was funny because I went from playing competitive all day to playing social with a couple people at the end of the night, and I think it was more frustrating when I got out of competitive back to the social mode because people aren't doing what you expect them to do,
Right.
which is dangerous when they're both your teammate and the other team. Because in competitive, you have strategy, you have a plan. Like for me, when I'm Lucio, I hang out usually with the tank heroes because they can protect me, and I keep them healed up. It's a mutual thing, or I'll go off and heal somebody else to come back. I also have a speed boost, and then the sonic boom, which is a temporary shield, is my ult that I pull up. So I have a plan that I have in my head when I'm doing this, but for that to work, the team has to be somewhat close together because it's a sphere around me, an AoE area. In social, my team was in like 4 different corners. I'm like, I can't effectively be a healer because you guys are spreading out so much. Or the big thing is grouping up. People go in, they die, they come back, they go in, they die, they come back. And it got frustrating to that point because you realize, not that you're not, I don't want to say I'm better, but you realize the strategy that wasn't there before, that you're like, I didn't even think this was a thing. That being said, in competitive, I'm not ranked. I asked people because I have no idea what my rank was. Like the way Overwatch works for competitive is you do placement matches, you have 10 of them, and then based on how well you do, you get ranked. And there is 5 or 6 tiers. There's bronze, silver, gold, platinum. There's one above platinum, and then there's the 2 like big ones, like the professional players are in. And I got gold, and I got ranked 2189 initially. And I went to like the different gaming groups I'm in that I know play Overwatch. You go, is this good, bad? I have nowhere to judge. Like, gold sounds good, but I'm guessing the majority audience is probably gold. And I found out I was above average, which is good.
Fancy pants.
My highest one was 2305. I dropped down now to 22 something, so I got to get it back up because I lost a match last night. But it's just weird because I never thought I watch Let's Players on YouTube, and I watch stupid shit on YouTube all the time. And I watch sports, but I never thought I would enjoy watching somebody play a video game. But I think the reason I do is because I understand the video game. If it was League of Legends or CSGO, I wouldn't watch it.
See, here's the thing with me, though, is that I've never played CSGO when I started watching it. But I have played a million other FPS games, and I understood the core principles of it. The team. But the games that they're doing in CSGO is essentially search and destroy in Call of Duty. So I played that before. It's like plant the bomb. It's if you die once, you're dead. You're out. That's it. Teams of like 5 or 6 or whatever each. And so I kind of understood conceptually how it worked. And again, you're dealing with like sniper rifles and AMGs and all that kind of stuff. But then they have utilities like Molotovs and smoke. And you kind of just from watching it for a short while, I think the only difference that is in CSGO, which isn't really anywhere near Call of Duty, is it's monetary based. So like by winning matches, by planting bombs, by doing good things, you earn money, which you then spend towards your weapons for the next round. So you can crush a team by just continuously like pushing hard on them, and you can also steal other people's weapons and carry that to the next round. So there's some amazing moments like where they'll spend all of this money on an orb, which is like a sniper rifle, and then right at the end, this guy had like 1 HP and he was too close to the bomb site, so he knew he was going to die. So like at the last second, he throws his gun to a teammate who picked it up, and then he died in the blast. His teammate survived, and then the next round, the guy just gave him his orb right back, and it's just kind of that kind of level of minutia that goes into it.
And that's similar to like Overwatch, where like popping ults, same concept. I mean, obviously they don't carry over match to match, but you learn strategy of what didn't work last round or what did work and stacking them up. And I think for me, the big thing is I learn a lot from it. Like CSGO, I have no desire to watch because I have no desire to play.
Yeah, I wish I could play it, honestly.
Like to me, Overwatch was perfect because like I understand the game. I want to. I was now intrigued into the competitive side of things and understanding the strategy that went behind this game that I used to just goof around in. And it's crazy how much my game ability the last 3 days has gone up just from learning stupid little shit that makes total sense. Like David the other night, we were playing a character called Zenyatta, who is a support character. He does healing through orbs, and he also has an orb of discord, which takes, if you hit somebody with it, they take 30% more damage. And one of the things I found out, because I played with him, I was like, let me experiment with another healer, because everybody in competitive, from what I've seen, use Lucio and Zenyatta as like healers. There's very few you see Mercies. So I was like, let me try Zenyatta, because I've never tried him. And I learned, went and practiced and tried a couple things. And then last night we were playing, or yesterday we were playing, and I go, hey, David, did you know you could do this? And if you hold L2, it charges his shots and then lets all of his things out at once versus a single shot. And he's like, holy shit. And he's played that character probably for an hour or 2 hours and had no idea.
Yeah.
Like, things like that, you're like, oh. Like, I like taking the application, applying it, and using that knowledge to then...
And as much as we were shitting on the commentators on the match we were watching earlier, the commentation, I guess, I don't know what the
some of them are better than others.
Are good.
Commentary,
yeah. It's good because, you know, when they're attacking it like a sports game, you kind of get more hyped on it because like, oh my God, look at this. And you're kind of like, oh yeah, that was amazing. So you're not just like by yourself, like, you know, thinking, oh dude, that was sick. Like you have like entire crowd going batshit, the players going batshit, the commentators going batshit. And it just kind of hypes you up so much more and makes it so much more of an enjoyable experience. So if you haven't tried watching esports, I swear to God, man, find a game that you like, whether it's Rocket League or Overwatch, or whether it's something more hardcore like a CSGO or a Dota or whatever. Like it's worth at least watching one or two and seeing if you dig it or not. And both of us have kind of fallen into this world recently, and we find it super fascinating. So
yeah, I'm excited. Yeah. I kind of want to get to the point. Like I'm to the point where I'm watching them on demand and kind of catching back up, but I want to get to the point where I'm up to speed and current on the schedule. So like, okay, this day, this match is like I do with...
So you can look forward to it.
Like I do with sports teams. Yeah. I mean, NASCAR this weekend was at Indy. So I was like, cool, Saturday is the Xfinity race at Indy. Sunday is the Brickyard 400 at Indy. Like, catch back up on those and know what's going on.
I think it would be worth you trying to see the actual team plays as well, like rather than the like World Cup scenario that you're in. It's easier to understand in a World Cup scenario because you just know, oh, this is the entire country of Sweden's best players playing right now. But when you get into the team level, it's like being in the team level of watching football, you know. Yeah. So it's kind of like, it's almost like it can be more like there's more rivalries. There's more kind of like super standout players on a certain team. They play better with their teammates and that kind of stuff.
But to me, like it's kind of like how when I got into soccer, the first thing I watched was the World Cup.
Right,
it's
it eases you in.
It's an easy way to get in. It's a thing to understand. Like I don't need to understand who team X, Y, and B or X, Y, and Z are and what division they're in or who they're facing and all that kind of stuff. Versus like in the World Cup, it's like okay, Group G is China, Hong Kong, Vietnam, and Thailand, and they're all fighting for one spot. Group. Dude,
there's a lot of inner fighting going on there. Yeah. But the ability to see these players and actually start recognizing them by name is also a nice part, because I'm sure if you watch enough USA matches, you'll find a guy on the USA team that just slays every time, and then he becomes your favorite, and then you're like, okay,
my favorite one so far, his name is Pannies.
Pannies.
Pannys. Because the commentator was going on and he was saying like people, oh, he died, and he he goes, oh, and Pannies dropped, and he was like, you could tell he realized what he said after he said it, and he just like gave a little chuckle. He was like, oh, yeah. But no, it's something I never thought I would get into, and it's a lot of fun. And again, I'm using it a lot for like learning. Like when I watch a match now, I'll watch what Lucio's doing, or I'll watch what some character I'm interested in is doing, Tracer, that kind of thing, and just seeing what they do and how they react to things and where are they positioning, and it's really quite interesting. And I'm hoping to play some competitive matches with friends, because I think, like you said, once you build like that team and as long as you guys work well together, you're fine. And I've got a couple of friends that have, since I've posted that, have playing competitive, like, hey, we should play. And I was like, let me make sure I know what I'm doing first before we hop in, because it is competitive. You do get ranked, and I know people are very whatever about their rank. And with Overwatch, they have seasons like anything else, and the season lasts 3 months, and there's like 30-something days left in the season, and then it starts over. And at the end of the season, based on your rank, you get a certain number of competitive points, and those competitive points then translate into special items that you can only get if you play competitive. So one of the things I want is they have gold weapons of things, so that's kind of the look what I did moment. So I want to get like a gold weapon for Mercy, I want to get a gold weapon for Lucio, like those kind of things I think are really interesting, and I'm really excited to get into. And they also have other bonuses, like you get end of the season, if you do so well, you get like certain player icons, which I don't care as much about those. Like I'm not here to tout how well I did. It's more of I had fun doing it, but I also want to get something else like the Lucio stuff I want to get, the Mercy stuff I want to get. I don't care about the player icon. Like I don't care if you know that I've finished platinum in season 5. It's a self accomplishment of like, hey, I did this. I got this item because of it. Yeah. So Overwatch has kind of gripped me the last 3 or 4 days. It's been a lot of fun. Like I said, it was kind of my mental break from everything else that had been going on, and it was I'm gonna go home and watch this tonight. I've been falling asleep to it. I have the playlist. Have you noticed on YouTube I've subscribed to 2 of the channels?
Yeah, you may notice a bunch of CSGO
stuff
going up as well.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, I would say try and watch one of those and see if you like it, honestly, because like in principle it's very similar except for that you don't play it. But I don't play it either, and I still really enjoy it. Yeah. That's why I'm really looking forward to Call of Duty World at War or World War or whatever the fuck.
World War II?
Because now that the jetpacks have gone, I'm thinking like, yeah, I'm going to jump back in and I'm going to start quickscope and fucks. And I'm like getting really into it.
Then you're not.
Then
you realize how bad you are.
We'll see how it goes. I'll probably be terrible, but at least I kind of want to,
The one moment I had in competitive where I was like, that's right, fucker, is there's a dude, when I joined the lobby, you can obviously see who everybody picks and figure out your team from there. I love Lucio as a support character, and I use him 99% of the time when I'm doing support now. I used to do Mercy all the time, but I did Lucio, and the guy commented, he's like, dude, Lucio sucks at healing, fuck you, like we don't need him. Like that, he didn't say, he's like, Lucio's not a good healer, you should be somebody else. And I was like, look, let me do this, see what happens. I end up winning MVP and got 5 gold medals, and I go to the dude afterwards and go, what'd you think about that? He goes, good shit, man. And I was like, to me, that was like, it was one of those moments like, that's the toxic environment, but it's kind of like we do in comments when we get those comments that are like, you fucking suck. Or like, oh, so glad you stopped by type thing. Like,
yeah. Just answer with your actions rather than being getting dragged into a petty thing.
Yeah.
But speaking of Overwatch, though, it sounds like you have a fun thing for our special segment today that is involving Overwatch. So you want to tell them what that is?
Yes. Our segment is 5 fun facts.
Fun fact.
With Keegan. I have 5 Overwatch facts here that you probably you probably don't know anything about.
Won't know anything about them. But I'm excited.
But some of you might. Fact number 1: Overwatch didn't start as Overwatch.
Dun dun dun.
In 2007, this is a long time ago. That's 10 years ago. Blizzard began work on a secret project known as Project Titan. This was an ambitious effort that was poised to be a major diversion from other iconic properties like World of Warcraft and StarCraft. Built as an MMO, the initial concept originally focused on more single-character development and would lock each player to a progression skill tree. Over 100 people were said to have been on the game's dedicated development team in 2012, including Jeff Kaplan, who would go on to direct the final version of Overwatch. Titan was officially canceled in 2013, but the core idea was transferred to a much smaller team and shifted to a new IP. The gameplay quickly took shape as a competitive hero-based team shooter recognized now. Some key assets like the Temple of Anubis were preserved. That's interesting because it started out as something completely different.
Do you think it was the name that made him change it, or do you think it was just because it went to a different team that they decided to change it? Because Titan is pretty close to Titanfall, obviously.
Well, that was just the code name.
Yeah.
I mean, that has nothing to do with the actual name.
So you
of
think
I think it was just one of those things where they did.
So it started in 2007. That's crazy. Yeah.
I think it's one of those things where they started doing it and they're like, "This seems too similar to something else. Let's try it." Because it was each player would be locked to a progression skill tree, single player character development MMO that's very similar to a World of Warcraft already or StarCraft. So I think they want to do something different.
Yeah, it's interesting because as much as I don't particularly enjoy Overwatch, I can see the amount of love and attention that was put into that game. So it makes sense that it was a longer sort of time frame.
Yeah, characters are the best part of the game.
What's fun fact number 2?
Speaking of characters. This is not the fun fact. I'll replace the fun fact. But did you know that Tracer is a lesbian? Are you aware of that?
I did know that.
Did you know that Tracer was initially designed as a male character? Does that mean he was going to be gay? I would love to know that answer. Like, did they? What happened there? Like, did they know that already, or was it something different? Let's find out. May not find the answer. I'm gonna have to email Jeff Kaplan. Among the playable classes in Project Titan, the Jumper had some of the most unusual abilities. The idea behind this class was that players could teleport around the map in short bursts. The initial design for this character was male, although when the concept for Overwatch began to formalize, Tracer was given a more fleshed out backstory and designed as the players recognize her now. So it sounds like they didn't have it ready to go that he was going to be gay.
That seems like it would have been a later edition anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Tracer became the first real hero to make it into Overwatch properly, shortly followed by Reaper and Widowmaker. She became the centerpiece hero of the game and was given a key spot on most of the game's marketing and box art. One of the skins available in the game features a heavy jacket, which is key part of the character's initial look.
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely, like, when I think Overwatch, Tracer is the first character that I think of. Yeah, because she's like the big one. And but that's interesting, though, that they changed her gender midway through development. And actually, Overwatch is pretty good for giving you a solid count
diversity,
of male and female and, you know, people of color and all the rest of it, having that.
I mean, Lucio's the black man.
Yeah.
So you've got Lucio, you got Zarya, I believe I have a feeling if they haven't said it officially, I believe that Zarya is going to come out as lesbian as well.
Isn't Hanzo like Asian?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a distinct sort of United Colors of Benetton feel to that game, which I think is great. I think and that's also one of the appeals.
And the maps. So like you've got Lijiang Tower, which is Chinese. You've got Anubis, which is like I want to say like Egyptian style, like Middle Eastern Egyptian style.
Judging by the name.
You've got Nepal, Nepal. I'm trying to think what other maps are. There's one on the moon, which is
Hollywood or something.
Hollywood is the U.S. So they do it based on areas, and there's a Greek one as well. And our friend Kat Does Things actually went through and read the signs because she knows Greek. Was reading the signs around the map just by herself. And you learn a lot about the game design and what their thought process was based on what they put in the game, and it's kind of cool.
Interesting.
I don't read Greek though.
I don't either. I use WordLens for everything, which is now Google Translate, but same difference.
Torbjorn's design helped shape the whole game. Fact number 3.
Interesting.
When Project Titan was in the late conceptual stage, Blizzard became increasingly concerned about making its new title feel distinct from its already successful properties. The team wanted to draw a line between the high fantasy of Warcraft and the futurism of StarCraft. From this point of view, the tech-heavy dwarf Torbjorn was born. At a talk at GDC this year, Blizzard's art team discussed how the one character's concept informed the look for most of Overwatch's in-game universe. Many of the game's living spaces feature culturally influenced modern architecture infused with lights and technology out of something more in line with science fiction. Torbjorn was placed in early mock-ups of each new map to see if the design principles remain consistent across entire experiences.
That's interesting.
I love Torbjorn. You know why? He goes, Torbjorn! He's a Swede. Or not Swede. Swede? Nordic? He's Nordic.
Dutch.
I'll go with that. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's diverse.
I mean, he's got blue and yellow, so, I mean, he looks like he just fell through IKEA backwards.
Maybe he did. Well, that's it. Isn't that the Swedish flag on his leg?
Could be.
Looks like a Swedish flag.
Yeah, blue and yellow is Swedish, so.
Blue and yellow, blue and yellow. Fun fact number 4. One awesomely weird character did not make the cut. Which is amazing because there's so many weird characters in the game already.
Yeah.
Overwatch launched with a total of 21 playable characters, and 3 have since been added by free updates. 4th one on the way. Doomfist coming out soon. The diverse cast design ranges from fairly simple soldiers and cowboys to more imaginative cyborg warriors and blue-skinned assassins. However, the most absurd character pitched for the new game never saw the light of day. Director Jeff Kaplan teased this idea as a way for the team to figure out how far it could go with coming up with original ideas. Quote, "There is one hero that was a huge internal debate on the team because we just loved it so much, but it didn't make it," Kaplan said in an interview with GameSpot. "It was a jetpack, and it had this cat that laid in it like a cat does. Then every once in a while, it would paw at the controls. It was a cat in a jetpack."
Jetpack cat?
Jetpack cat.
Jetpack cat. Hashtag jetpack cat.
Hashtag jetpack cat.
So you would be a cat that just had a jetpack?
It was this jetpack, and it had a cat laid inside of it like a cat does. Then every once in a while, it would paw the controls. It was a cat in a jetpack. That's the quote.
I don't think that would work. I think I can see why they cut that.
Yeah.
Dynamically, that's quite difficult to control. Having you just be like a solitary jetpack with occasionally has a kiddie claw that comes out and touches the button, and then you fire or something.
You're like, ah.
That would be very bizarre. All right,
last and final fun fact.
Fun fact.
There are Blizzard Easter eggs in Overwatch. Surprise, like anything else. Although the story and characters of Overwatch are far removed from the continuity of other titles from the legendary publisher, there are still plenty of Easter eggs for dedicated fans to find. In fact, Diva is an acclaimed esports player, and her game of choice just so happens to be StarCraft. That's a Blizzard game, for those of you who don't know. Characters from the strategy game even appear on the arcade machines for a fighting game parody, Heroes of the Storm in Hanamura map. Cards from the Hearthstone can be spotted in a building in Route 66, as well as virtual game displayed on screen in the security office of Hollywood map. As for World of Warcraft, keep an eye on Murlocs plastered all over the advertisements on the streets of Hanamura.
Interesting. So, I mean, I've played Hearthstone, and I haven't really played World of Warcraft.
I played
I'm
it for 2
familiar
days.
with Murlocs. But it's kind of... I don't imagine there's an awful lot of time in an Overwatch match to sit and stare at the scenery too much because it's so hectic. You know what I mean?
Well, so depending on where they're at, but at the beginning, when you're playing, yes. But at the beginning, so like you start in this like closed area and then the door opens and you run out. If it's in that enclosed area, then yeah, you look around. Like there's one, like on Hollywood, there's video... Nobody ever looks at them because they punch them. Like they're the vending machines, the arcade machines. 9 times out of 10, you're blowing them up and punching them and breaking them, that kind of thing. I did find out yesterday. I didn't know this was a thing. I was playing as Winston, who's a big ape man, scientist ape actually. And one of the things his punch, there's a pole out by one of the start areas that I punched it and it dented, but then it would undent. Like it would just like normally like in a game it would dent and be done. But it was like, it would come back and go and come back. Like they clearly planned for it because it didn't just pop back. It was formed back. So I was like, I was standing there, I was playing with David. I was like, David? He's like, what? I go, this thing's coming back. He's like, what do you mean? I go, I'm punching it and it's forming back. He's like, what? I was like, yeah.
It's
I was
liquid metal.
Yeah.
T1000.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
So those are your 5 Overwatch fun facts.
Thank you.
That's all I got. I was trying to think of something else to
appreciate it.
say.
Yeah.
But no,
Bit of esports, bit of fun facts. Can't go wrong.
it's just Overwatch. You gonna talk about Overwatch now?
I'm
Just
not.
make it Overwatch.
I'm definitely not talking about Overwatch. So, welcome to Tom's Tales, where I tell you a tale of a thing that I did.
You didn't put enough T's in there.
time. Yeah, we can make the alliteration work. So last week I told you about my history as a rapper, and I'm staying with the non-video game style.
I feel like
today.
we're because the first episode I did non-video game, you did video game, and I feel like the last 2. This was not planned, by the way. It just kind of happened that way.
No, it's just whatever we decide. That's the beauty of it. So what I thought I'd talk about is that I told you about how I got here. On
an airplane?
Yeah.
Did you bring a boat?
I flew in, and boy, was I tired.
Did you come over on the Titanic? Because you probably didn't make it then.
So we talked about the story of like how I used to be a rapper. We've talked about how I had the story with Jess about how I met Jess, but I haven't really dug into the stuff that people really want to know, which is like, what did you think when you came to America? Because one of the questions like I get asked the most is, do you like America? Do you miss England? Or what's different? And those are pretty common questions for me to get on a daily basis.
Do you miss the food?
Yeah, I do actually. But
I can show you a YouTube video after this.
So here's a story about how my life got turned upside down, and that
was a Fresh Prince reference for those of you too young for that.
Terrible. But about a couple of things that I noticed when I moved to America.
Were you born in West Philadelphia?
I wasn't.
What? What's the line? Something.
Hereford.
West Philadelphia, born and raised.
So the first incident when I knew that things were different was when I had to
you hopped in a car on the other side.
Pronounce how to say a word because the person did not understand me, which nowadays you'd think, yeah, fucking no chance. But and the word was water. So I was on the plane on the way over, and the waitress said, "Would you like anything?" And I said, in my best English accent, "Yeah, a water would be nice." And she said, "I'm sorry, what?" And I said, "Water." And she said, "I'm sorry, I still didn't get it. Some water, just a little bit of water, a glass of water." And because back then I didn't say the T's in words because that's a thick English accent, I had to actually go, "Can I get some water, please?" Like in my best shitty American accent. She's like, "Oh yeah, sure," and then she gets me some water.
Can I tell you a story?
Sure.
You know my buddy Dima, who ended up working with me. Dima, you guys don't know Dima, but Dima's from Ukraine, came over for an internship, and he was calling the DMV because he's trying to get a license over here. And he calls the DMV, and they're asking him for a copy of something, and he kept saying copy. And I was like, I knew what he was trying to say. He kept saying, do you need a copy? Do you need a copy? I turned to him, I tapped him on the shoulder, and he turns around and I go, Dima, copy. And he goes, do you need a copy? And I could almost instantly on the other end of the phone hear the person go, oh, copy.
It was interesting. That wasn't the first time that I had that type of a scenario. I was also in, and this was annoying, I was in a grocery store and I had checked out everything, and the lady clerk, whatever they're called nowadays.
Checkout lady?
Yeah, the checkout lady.
Don't check her out, though, because you get in trouble.
She asked me to say something, like she was like, would you like blah 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 today? And I just said, I replied, and then she said, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Would you like blah blah blah? And I'm like, I know this bitch hears me. And then she says, I did this 5 times before she said, I'm just messing with you. I just wanted to hear you say it. I was like, fucking hell, this is going to be my life for the next forever.
That's why your wife is with you.
Like,
I just wanted you to say it.
So I'm just like, God damn, this sucks. But the very, very first thing that I actually noticed that was weird, like right off the plane, met Jess, driving home, the road signs. Because the road signs are very different.
It wasn't sitting on the opposite side of the car?
That was weird, but I mean, I've never driven, so to me, it's like it's seat to seat. So with the road signs, sort of seeing them in their different colors and stuff, but also you guys have so many fucking adverts on your roads, like so many, like every 20 feet there's a new advert, and we don't really do that.
They're called billboards.
Yeah, we don't do that because it's fucking annoying, you know. And
welcome to American consumerism.
I know, like it's super like in your face, like buy this, buy that, buy the other, and you know, aside from the fact that I'm looking at the road sites and I'm like, oh, this is weird. It's like movie road signs. But then, you know, the fact that all these adverts are coming up on the way, I was just like, Jesus Christ. Like, there's literally littered with these billboards. And I wasn't used to that at all because we don't really do that much. You might get 1 or 2, but it's not anywhere near the extent that it is
It's not
here.
like 4 in a corner?
Oh, dude, it's every fucking place here. Like, it's every 30 yards there's a new billboard. I distinctly remember also waking up and forgetting where I was for the first week or 2, which was even weirder.
Terrifying.
If you imagine, like, when you go to sleep somewhere unusual, then you wake up and you're like, wait, where the fuck am I?
Yeah.
And then you figure it out, and then you're like, okay, cool, everything's great. So I was doing that, but sometimes I would not notice until I went to talk to another human, because we just lived in this little flat in, it's an apartment in Soulard. And so we lived in this place, and every morning when I woke up, I would get up and I would just play PS4. I bought a PS4, and I didn't have a work permit, so I couldn't work. So this was like my luxury days, right? I would just get up, play PS4, go meet Jess for lunch, go home, play PS4, and then
I'm assuming you mean PS3.
PS3, yes,
like,
PS3. No, you're right, absolutely.
Because
yeah.
PS4, I was like,
I was playing Resistance
3 years ago.
Naruto. Yeah, no, you're right. It was a PS3. Fuck, man.
Before you continue, though, I have a fun fact about your bonus fun fact about your sign colors.
A bonus fun fact.
Do you know why the signs are green?
No.
So the signs are green because they initially were going to be blue, but the problem with
Ours are blue.
The problem with blue, they said, is it's harder to read at a distance, and it blends into the sky.
I mean, you make it dark blue.
They're going to make it. I don't know.
Like most other countries
Yeah.
use blue. That's just bullshit. They just didn't want to copy. It's the same as the metric system. So I would get up every day, and then I would play Naruto or whatever on the PS3. I would walk up to meet Jess, about half an hour walk, listen to English music on the way there because I didn't have really much else. I was just, it reminded me of home a little bit. And because the journey was fairly straightforward, it was a little part of downtown, but there wasn't really a whole lot of like advertisements or stuff. It wasn't until I would get to Jess's workplace and I would say like hi to the door guy, and he would say hi back, that I would be like, oh yeah, America, because I just like would
you were in your
forget.
world.
Yeah, I was just like, it was just like me and Jess had our own little bubble. We didn't go anywhere too much. So like you watching TV, yeah, I watched American TV in England, so there wasn't really a noticeable difference. I didn't really listen to the radio or anything. The street was just a normal street. It was just like I lived in a city now, but I didn't ever correlate the city as being an American city. So it wasn't until, someone would say something to me, or I'd go to a convenience store or something, that I'd be like, oh fuck yeah, like, and everyone has an American accent. And literally it took me 2 months to get over
That's
that.
how we feel about you when we hear you talk. Oh shit, he has an English accent.
Yeah, Yeah, but it was just it was super weird. Going along with the annoying amount of advertisements as well. Your TV sucks. Like, not the content. The content is great, but the way that cable TV works here, not only for pricing, but you get 5 minutes of a TV show and 10 minutes of adverts. And then you get 5 minutes again and another 10 minutes of adverts. And the adverts are loud as fuck.
So runtime on a 30-minute TV show is 22 minutes. Runtime on an hour TV show is 48 minutes. Just fun fact.
Because they fill all the rest of it with bullshit. Yep. And the adverts are weird too. So you have the fact that you guys allow slander in adverts here. We don't do that. Like, you can't slander another company in an advert. Over here, Burger King be like, "Fuck McDonald's." You know,
well, Apple and Microsoft back in the day, that was the thing.
Yeah, but that was almost like a cutesy thing to do compared to some of the shit that you guys put out. Like Jack in the Box like rips the other countries to shreds, and we're just like, in England, like, you're not allowed to do that. That's slander. You get fucking sent to jail for that shit because you're not allowed to slander another company. And then you'd have just adverts for Jesus. And there's no offense to fans of Jesus, you are one yourself.
Fans of
but
Jesus.
Just like, it would just come up and just be like, "Hey, Jesus, bye." And then that was like the whole advert. Some random dude just like, "Remember Jesus?"
You know, cool. My favorite one is when you're watching something, then like later, and it's like, and you can't even hear what he's saying. I'm like, okay, God, sorry if I just blew your eardrums out.
But the adverts are like 10 times louder because they want to get your attention, and I know that's a thing that Americans do. But again, it's almost like this massive bombardment of just constant advertisements.
What's crazy now is I don't watch advertisements anymore.
Yeah, I can't.
I have Google Red for YouTube. I have Netflix, and then I paid for the nicer Hulu when I watch Hulu.
Yeah.
I have no ads in my life.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's fucking great. I can't stand adverts. So the other big one, and this is a very noticeable one for me, is because I grew up in a town that was very, very small, about 5,000 to 10,000 population, and we didn't have a fast food restaurant. They built a Subway after I left. That was the closest thing to a fast food restaurant we had.
That's like where I used to live.
Yeah.
When they built a Pizza Hut, it was a big deal.
Right.
Like, holy shit, we got a Pizza Hut?
I had to travel 13 miles on a train to get to a fucking McDonald's. Like, and you would always go to McDonald's because you're like, fuck, I might never see a McDonald's again. Here, you can't throw a stone without hitting a restaurant. There's like one everywhere.
And that's partially because you live in a city, too. If you're out in the country, it's a bit different, too.
But there's still, like, even country places still have, like, fast food joints, and the roads are littered with, like, every exit, there's, like, 5 fast food places, like, everywhere you go. So
when we go to Indy, it's like, where do you want to go? Which stop? Well, let's go to this city. Yeah. But even on the way, it's like, oh, you can go to Arby's if you wanted to.
So I put on 30 pounds in the first 3 months of living here because there was fucking restaurants everywhere, and I'm a fat bastard, and I wanted to eat all the food. That's what happens. So yeah, so I put on a ton of weight when I moved here because of all these restaurants. I also had an interesting thing that I learned about myself, is that initially, and it's not the same anymore, but initially when I moved here, I was somewhat allergic to mosquitoes, which is not a fun thing to be allergic of because they seek you out, right? So what would happen was when I would get a mosquito bite me or suck my blood or whatever, I would get
to suck your blood.
A giant whelp that was like half a golf ball size of just fluid that would show up like on my arm. So at one point I had so many of those on my ankles from when I visited Texas that like my ankle.
Well, that was mistake number one, is you went to Texas.
Yeah, and then I went in the fucking sea and it burst. And oh my God.
It probably cleansed it because of salt.
Yeah, but it fucking stung when I did it. So, and I got an infection in it and everything. And I was just like, Jesus Christ. Because I didn't know what this shit was. I just woke up one day with welts all over my legs. And I was like, the fuck? Is there something in bed? Like, I didn't know what it was. And it was just these giant welts. And then over time, I think I've developed an immunity to it. Because now when I get stung, it itches. It hurts a little bit, but it goes away.
So I obviously have not moved. I've moved country when I moved to Canada, but I feel like that's not obviously as drastic of a change. Whenever I move to a new environment, I find allergies I didn't know I had. Like when we moved, the only place I think I never really had allergies was probably New Brunswick, just because there wasn't much going on up there. But like when I moved to New York, there was probably the worst allergies I ever had, and it's like, where the hell did this come from? But there's something there that you're like, I didn't know I was introduced to.
Because there was really, I mean, I'm not saying there's no mosquitoes in England, because there are, but like where I lived, there was no mosquitoes. Yeah. So I didn't even know like how mosquitoes acted. And now they're like, I fear them. It's like every time I go outside with the dogs, I'm constantly on mosquito watch, making sure one of those little bastards doesn't get a hold of me.
That's my sister with bees.
I can't relax outside. Like my wife likes to sit outside, and I'm like, I can't do it because as soon as I go out there, I get swamped. They just get me.
Could we just wrap you in like bubble bubble wrap.
I might need to. Even if I spray the fucking, the off or whatever, like they still they're just like, well, fuck that shit. I'm still going for dinner.
You know what really works really well is the incense sticks. Have you ever used one of those?
The citronella
They
stuff.
smell like shit.
Yeah.
But they work really well.
I like incense.
When I played baseball, we used to have those in our dugouts if it was real bad.
Definitely need something like that in my life. But on top of that, because I'm getting all these weird welts and everything from all the shitty mosquitoes around, I had to go to the doctor. And the first time I went to the doctor in America was very weird. I went to urgent care because I didn't have a doctor at the time, didn't have a job. So I walk into urgent care and I'm like, hey, I would like to see the doctor, please. And they said, cool, that'll be $100. And I said, fuck no. Like, why would I need to pay just to talk to him? Like, I would pay if he gave me something to buy, right? And she's like, no, it's $100 to see the doctor. And because, like, in England, obviously universal healthcare, or the healthcare is free, I would go to the doctors if I had the sniffles. Like, I would just go and see him and just be like, hey, I got the sniffles, everything okay? Yeah, give me some medicine, whatever. And every medicine cost exactly £6, which is like roughly $10, right? So whatever it was, whatever the pill was, whether it was like a $3,000 pill or a $3 pill, it would be $6. You would get, everyone would pay that, and that was it. No ambulance bills, no hospital prices. My dad, when he recently had that heart thing, had like 3 ambulances and he got air evac'd to a hospital. That would have bankrupted his ass in this country, but because it's England, he got away with it, and he's doing just fine.
So if you're gonna have something, go to England or any country that's not United States.
Like literally, at some points, it would be cheaper for me to fly to England to get free a surgery or whatever than it would be to pay for the surgery with fucking insurance. Like, that's how bad it is.
Well, it's like one of the things I told people, because obviously the thing here is universal healthcare push in the United States. And when I lived in Canada, it was great for like the daily stuff. The only problem that I ran into with universal healthcare is like if you had something major, you put on a wait list. That's the only downside to it.
But the wait lists don't usually take that long. It just depends on how well they're funded and everything.
It also depends on how serious. Like my mom had a friend who had cancer and it was stage 4, and they're like, "You've got 2 months to live. The wait list is 6 months long. Good luck."
Yeah.
To that part, so she came to the States to do it because of that.
And that's fair. And
but I think for everyday stuff, there should be.
Well,
some
the thing is, there's
coverage.
options too, because people with universal health care, those countries that have it, and in our country, I can't speak to Canada, but in our country, they still had privatized medicine. Like, you could still pay.
I was too young
for privatized medicine. Like, my mom, my granddad was kind of a rich guy, and when my mom had to get her hip replacement, she didn't go to the NHS and get the free stuff. Like, my granddad paid for her to go to a private place, get it done within a week. So the options still exists to do that in the country. It's just that the standardized option that most people choose, because they don't have the money, is universal health care. So there's some caveats to that, I think.
Yeah.
And then everything is open late or forever in this country as well.
Again, consumerism.
Yeah, and it really is. It absolutely blows you in the face, because, like, in England, every shop in the high street closes at 5:30. There's a couple.
You don't even get off work before 5:30.
I know. There's a couple convenience stores and stuff that'll stay open till maybe 9. And there's like Asda, which is a 24-hour place that is owned by Walmart. So that's like one of the only 24-hour places that exists in England. But if you're just like a standard high street store, everything closes at 5:30. So the reason for that is that at 5:30, everyone goes home, has dinner with their families, and has a nice evening. And there's no worries about having to, just never see your family because you're consistently working late in retail or whatever it may be. There's exceptions to the rule. Like I said, if you work at a convenience store, you might have some late shifts and stuff, because convenience stores generally stay open later anyway. But it's the same as a gas station over here.
I feel like gas stations are always open.
Exactly. But like, when I came here and like everywhere was open till 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, I was like, the fuck's that about? Like, do you guys ever get time off? And, no is the answer, really.
No.
Americans work their fucking ass off, and they deserve everything they get as far as that's concerned. Like, there's people here. It's not uncommon in this country to have 3 jobs. And that, again, doesn't really happen back home. Just, we get paid enough with the 1 job. Sundays, almost everything's closed. So, because it's a holy day. So you can't sell alcohol after a certain time period, and like almost every regular store is closed. So if you want like groceries or whatever, there's probably a grocery store open, but like the high street, all closed.
So that's like New York on Saturday, because the Sabbath is Saturday for Jewish people, which was weird to me when we moved there, because we're so used to Sundays being not closed, but closed earlier.
Yeah.
Because people do close earlier on Sundays, but like there's people in New York that like Saturday you would not open at all.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, like that's weird to me.
Yeah.
But
So my life was weird because, you know, when I moved over here, I didn't have a work permit. I had to apply for one. I applied for one. It was a 6-month process. So for 6 months, all I did was
Play video games.
eat ramen and play video games, literally. And, you know, just that was my life. And then I won't tell you about the first job I got because I don't think I'm allowed to say it on a public broadcasting thing, but the first real job that I got was my next door neighbor in one of the apartment complexes that we lived happened to be the regional director for Hot Topic, and you know I had no references because every time I gave a resume to someone, you know all of my contacts and referrals were in England, and no one wanted to call England.
Was your resume? Because I know Demo when he came over with his first of all he called it a CV.
CV is what they call in England, yeah.
When
is curriculum vitae.
Was it a different format than? I feel like
they're
there's no
basically the same.
I feel like there's,
resumes are a little bit more sharper and newer. Curriculum vitae are kind of based off an old tradition, so they're a little bit more cumbersome. You're supposed to actually have in your curriculum vitae like all your certifications and everything like that. So when you go to an employer, you're like, here's my actual like cover letter, here's my certification in this, and here's my high school grades and all that kind of shit. And
we don't do that.
It's funny because like no one does that here, so like it doesn't really matter. But I got lucky, like I said, and I hit it off with the boss at that place, and we had a good time working there. It was like I think I worked for a year there, and then I wanted to try and meet more people from England. I had met a guy that worked in World Market, which is kind of like it's a catch-all for worldly goods. So they have like a world grocery store, world art deco, world kitchen supplies, world furniture, and I worked there off the basis that I figured I'd be more likely to run into other English people, honestly. And I didn't have a great time there, so after a year or so, I ended up applying for our current company, and that's where I met you. So that just about takes me all the way from ordering water on the plane to where I am and where we are now. But those are the...
I've got a very important question for you.
Sure.
What is the food you miss most about being from home?
I miss this most from home, but also because I can't eat meat anymore, and that is kebabs, doner kebabs. Yeah. Doner kebabs are like, there's a couple different types. You can have chicken kebab or lamb kebab, but they're basically those, I don't know if you've ever seen them.
We call them kebabs here.
Well, no, this is actually, I know what a kebab is. This is different. But like it's a big spinny piece of meat on like a singular like spear thing, and they like shave off the meat.
That's I went to Yoli's, which is a Brazilian restaurant. They came up and they had like a sword, essentially, and it's like, here, do you want this? Cool.
Yeah, so they have these saws and they saw off the meat, but then they combine it with like a bunch of other deliciousness. And honest to God, kebab is like the absolute best food in the world, and I can't have it anymore because I only eat fishies now.
That's your fault.
But that's when I went home in 2011 before I went pescatarian, and I went to my hometown to see my friends back there. Literally the first thing I did was roll up in the kebab place and be like, what up, remember me? Because I used to know my order off by heart, you know.
So when I go back home, there's a place called Seaport Deli that makes sandwich, because I've yet to find a sandwich place that is as good as Seaport. They're $10 sandwiches, but they're actually I think it's $12.50 after tax.
Wow.
But it's worth it.
Got to be a good sandwich.
So good. But every time when I go home, the first thing I ask my mom is like, hey, can I go to Seaport? And they have a sandwich called the Boon, and I was just like, the same thing. They know me when I walk in still. It's the same 7 guys that have worked there since the get-go. They actually expanded it now because they took over the building next to them. So they expanded they have a bigger seating area now, but it's cash only. Like, one of those places is like, you've got to go.
I swear, every food place that I end up eating at ends up knowing my order within a couple weeks because I'm fiercely loyal. And if I find a place that I'm really like shitty at like choosing different things on a menu. I always just like, I know my favorite thing and I eat that every time wherever I go. I'm so boring. So like it used
So you didn't try the Manimal like I did?
I didn't try the manimal, no. Plus, that was a meat thing, but
Yeah.
the fish tacos were great. But so when I went to Subway, I used to go there and get a tuna sandwich every day, and they started calling me Tuna. So whenever I came up, it'd be like, "Hey, Tuna, how's it going?" And
Five Guys
they'd start
does.
making
So
it.
for the longest time after I leave here, I used to go get Five Guys, and I'd walk in the door, and there's the three people. Is like, Keegan's here. It's like, oh, is it that obvious?
I've gone
guys?
through all of these names now. I went from Tuna, and then at Panda Express, I was Shrimp. So they used to call me, "Hey, Shrimp's here." And now I've been obsessed in eating. There's an Indian place that opened up.
I've not had it
It's
yet.
Fucking good.
I'm
so
too, see,
I
I'm
go
too
there
scared.
every day.
I'm scared for the aftermath because we're at work.
I'll say it's not pretty, but
Yeah.
but I'm just waiting for the day it says, "Hey, Corman, what's up?" You know, like I'm just like so that's where I'm at right now. But yeah, that's a little bit of factual information about what it's like to be an English person moving into America and all the weird things that happen on the way. And if you have any questions, because I don't usually open up like this, because honestly, I've been asked where I'm from probably 5 times a day for the last 9 years.
Terrifying.
And it gets a little bit frustrating after a while just having to say it over and over again. But I genuinely do like answering people's more quirky questions about differences and stuff. So if you have a normal question about what it's like to be English in America, ask away in the comments below and I'll answer as many as I can. But that's our show, right? Pretty much. Wrapping her up.
I think so.
Yeah, there you go. We're almost at
check
an
my-
hour. We're
check
doing pretty
my-
good for these podcasts. Trying to keep them under an hour lately. I think we're doing all right with it. So, this has been the Level 2 podcast,
Do you remember what
episode 34.
There you go.
Yeah.
I was like, he's not going to remember.
Doesn't know this. Doesn't know how good I am.
It says the guy that's like, I was like, what episode is it? I don't fucking know. I don't keep track anymore. I was like, I think it's 34. And you're like, yeah, because last week was Trey. I think is what you said.
Trey. That's the only way I remembered it, because last week was Trey.
And that's how I remembered the other one, because I did Dos.
Yeah. So you got to learn a little bit about Keegan's new obsession with Overwatch as an esport and esports in general. You got to hear 5 fun facts about Overwatch. And
that was not planned to be a tie-in. It just kind of happened.
Yeah, it worked out that way.
We're good at that.
And then you got to hear a little bit about me and my experiences moving as an Englishman in St. Louis.
To the USAs.
Yeah. So hopefully you dug it. Be mindful that this is just a normal chit chat podcast for us. We just talk a lot of bollocks mostly, and it's more of our meta podcast where we get to talk about our real life feelings and like the YouTubey stuff and the stuff that we don't normally get to talk about on our other shows. Our other shows though are TCSX, which is going live on Wednesdays, and Codename Morpheus, that's going live on Thursdays. That is a PS4 and a PSVR podcast respectively. And of course we have a bunch of supplemental content that if you look
Lots of
down
trailers,
on
all that kind of stuff.
the little rest of the list of stuff on this show, you'll get to see too. We love you guys so much. Thank you again for all the support that you give us. We're real close to 1,000 guys, so if you want to share it out a little bit and try and help us get over the finish line, that'd be cool. We just like talking to you mostly though, so engage, comment, do all that fun stuff. Anything you have?
Thank you guys for watching.
And as always,
Welcome to the second level.
bye.
It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level.